These three, and especially that one, might be some of the most underrated football boots on the market right now. And actually, they just got a little bit better. Well, at least these two did, because New Balance just gave a facelift to the Tekela 4 Plus and the Furon 7 Plus. And in today's video, I'll tell you what they like to play with to give you an idea about why they might be worth taking an extra look at. Spoiler alert, they good. So the big showstopper for me might be the Tekela 4 Plus Low, which is probably one of the most immediately comfortable football boots I can think of right now. And it follows in the trend of New Balance updating the previous version to the Plus version, where they base it off the same boot, but then make little changes primarily to the upper. And on the Tekela 4 Plus Low here, and on the regular Tekela 4 Plus, without laces by the way, they've managed to make a softer and I think also even thinner hypo-knit package, which means that we're just venturing into almost anatomical slipper-like territory here, and somehow it feels even more comfortable than the regular Tekela V4 Low, which was already pretty ridiculous when it came to comfort. And it just fits whenever you put it on. It just immediately feels like home. Now there is this thin foamish liner on the inside, but I think what really does it for me when it comes to the comfort is just how soft that upper is throughout the boot, and just how it immediately starts to work with your foot as you lace it up. It's almost poetic how immediately comfortable it is. Now you have a pretty accommodating fit here, which is on the wider side. I mean, there's a lot of material on the upper to work with. And initially, just like with the last Tekela, that worried me a little bit for myself because I have a rather slim foot. With that said though, I do have a little bit of space to maneuver in the midfoot, which I don't mind, but I still got a snug enough fit to feel as if my foot was one with the boot. And that's rather positive. But with that said, it will definitely also work well with wider or flatter feet. So that's pretty good. Now, for whatever reason, the toe box also here compared to the previous Tekela seems to be a little bit lower, slightly more pointy, and also a bit more rounded and pointy in the shape, meaning that it's just a little bit more snug fitting compared to the regular Tekela V4. Now, personally, I like that. I like the feeling of it being tight and comfortable because the knit really stretches to accommodate. But if you do have big or really wide toes, it's probably just something you should keep in mind. Again, the knit will stretch, but it does feel a little bit more snug and close around your toes. And that also leads me to the sizing here, because I initially went true to size in the Tekela 4 Pluses, and you can definitely get by if you really like that super tight glove-like fit, but I personally felt a lot more comfortable going up half a size in these. And I definitely recommend that you do the same. But despite all the good comfort stuff, what I think I like the most about the Tekela 4 Pluses is the fit in the heel. Because as you can see, it is rather deep and curved, which really allows the foot to sink back into the heel and feel extremely securely locked in. And that means that while the midfoot lockdown might not be the most phenomenal thing ever, the way New Balance have done it, where they haven't used a ton of foam to just squeeze your foot and force it to stay in place. No, they've just used almost like the natural curve and shape of the foot and the heel to just gently hold it in place. But still, it feels as if it eliminates all of the movement of the foot inside of the boot when you make twists and turns. And it somehow adds that really smooth transition from boot to foot that feels rather free, but still it's as if the boot is telling me, look bruv, I've got you locked in. You don't have to worry about slippage inside the boot. And I'm a big fan of that, especially when you combine it with the Infinigrip insole and maybe also a good pair of grip socks. I would say that the Tekela 4 Pluses here, they feel a lot more responsive than I had expected. And I'm vibing with it. And then there is the outsole, which basically hasn't changed at all. But that doesn't matter because you still have a rather solid midfoot, good flex in the forefoot, decent snapback, you have the conical studs, cool. But then you also have these 7 little rim studs that, I'll be honest, I didn't really feel them much when I was just playing normally. But they really come into play when you put your foot down and make these sideways cuts and changes off direction. Where I at least felt like I had a little bit, especially on the outside here, I just had a little bit more bite and ability to transfer that energy quickly to the ground. So they might look a little bit funky, but I actually think they're a nice, fun little, rather unique addition. Now, of course, there's also the fuel cell insole, which is supposedly made with New Balance's fuel cell foam. That's a little bit more responsive and supposed to propel you forward, but honestly, I don't really feel that much of a difference. But honestly, for me, that doesn't really change the fact that I think the Tekela 4 Plus Lows is one of the boots that you shouldn't sleep too hard on, because they're just good. They're just overall really good. But that doesn't mean that we should forget the update on the Furon 7 Plus, because just like on the Tekela, New Balance have made a softer and I think definitely also a thinner hypo knit upper here, which means that once again, the level of fit and comfort has just been taken up a notch. It was really comfortable on the regular Furon V7, but this just feels ever so slightly easier to slide in and put on. Now, it's definitely on the snug side, it really hugs your foot well, but it's never restrictive in an unpleasant way, and it just feels as if the material is rather straightforward and a little bit stretchy almost in the way that it just wraps your foot and really works with it. Now, again, you have this rather curved and deep-fitting heel, which is lovely, and it also gives you that sensation of that lock and slipping in of the heel that kind of compensates a bit for the lacing being rather short and off-center, but because of the fit in the heel and this piece that kind of wraps over the top of your foot and really becomes very secure and tight, when you tighten the laces, the lockdown doesn't suffer too much from this. Which is definitely, I'm surprised by that actually, because, yeah, it's not a problem. And like the good update and facelift that it is, the texture on the upper has changed a little bit, but if I'm completely honest, I didn't really feel a difference. So you still get this very close and sharp and extremely one-to-one-like sensation on the ball, but in terms of grip, this new texture doesn't really do anything. It's not slippery, but it's not that sticky on the ball either. Now, the outsole is actually the same as the one New Balance have used on the Furon for the couple of last generations, which is not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's also fine because it works. The snap, as you can see, is there, which also completely ruins that blue coating on the outsole, but it is what it is. And of course, there are the chevron-shaped studs, which think Mercurial Vapor 11, 12, 13, where the studs are quite long and they have a ton of bite. So it's not the best for AG, so shame on me, but on a normal FG pitch, these will feel very, very responsive, very stiff, and just like, for acceleration, they feel awesome. It also sacrifices a bit on the comfort, but it is what it is. And when it comes to speed, these are fun. But you'll have to live with the paint chipping off, because that went quicker than I thought. But you don't need blue paint to run faster, right? So if you can live with that slightly aesthetic annoyance of the paint chipping off when you bend your foot, which is what it is, but then the Furon will give you a lovely combination of a rather lovely comfortable fit, where, by the way, I also went up half a size to not squeeze the life out of my feet. But then you also get this rather responsive feel that's sharp on the ball and feels really good to accelerate in, meaning that the Furon can definitely hold its own against all of the other top speed boots out there. And because of the shape of the upper and how the boot fits, if you have a wide foot and you want a speed boot, this might actually be your best option. And it's 190 something grams, so it's light enough too.
And while the Furon is strong, I personally would go with the Tekela, which for me offers such a good balance between comfort, lock-in, and a close but elegant feel on the ball. It's pretty light, and it also works with basically most foot shapes. And for me, it's just one of those boots that have a genuine wow factor.
But we shouldn't forget the 442 V2 Pro, which I've said it before and I'll say it again, might be one of the best value for money boots out there right now. And it hasn't really changed with this update, meaning that it's still as no-nonsensely lovely for 150... What? Yeah? Oh, it's 160 euros now? Okay, that's still fair. That goes for all of the boots? They're 10 euros more expensive? I mean, it's still fair. but you'll have to live with that. They are slightly better, but price right up there. But anyways, guys and girls, tell me what you think of the new Tekelas and the Furons and the new color of the 442s in the comment section right down below. And then remember that if you want new boots, well, you can shop your brains out in the link to Unisport right over there. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notifications on. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio!